Welcome back, guys. It's the start of a new week. Over the last couple days, I got a couple requests from some of your classmates to do a little bit of Chinese takeout. So I'm going to do a couple of my favorites. Today, we're going to do beef and broccoli, and then we're also going to do some fried rice. So the beef and broccoli we'll get started on because this needs to marinate. I also have rice that's cooking that will have to cool because you don't want to use hot rice when you do that. We got a chunk of meat, and then we got some marinade stuff that we're going to throw together. And so what we got for our marinade, and actually the recipe that I'm going to post for you guys calls for 3/4 of a pound of beef. Freddy's didn't have what I was looking for, so I ended up getting a little bit bigger. So we're going to have to double our recipe, which honestly is okay with us. But we'll get started. And what I have here is oyster sauce. And the recipe calls for 1/3 of a cup, but again, we're doubling that. So we're gonna go 2/3. And then we're also gonna use this oyster sauce later in our fried rice. So kind of common ingredients, common theme here, common flavors. We got our oyster sauce, and then it calls for 1 teaspoon of soy sauce. So we're going to double that. So we got 2 teaspoons of soy sauce. And this is our sodium here. This is the salt part. So you don't really have to add salt to this. And then we got some sesame oil. This is a brand new one. I thought I had opened it already. Now I will. Okay, so we got 4 teaspoons total of sesame oil. And then I also need 2/3 of rice wine vinegar. Going to be our acid. So when you taste things, typically you're tasting sweet, salty, sour, bitter. This is going to help with that. And then also the vinegar is going to help break down some of the connective tissue here as well. So soften those guys up. And then I need a little bit of sugar and a little bit of cornstarch. And for my sugar, teaspoon. We'll go 2 of those because we're doubling. And then I need a little bit of cornstarch, and this is going to help us thicken up later. So what I typically will do is with my cornstarch, whenever I'm adding cornstarch, I'll do what it says, and then I'll keep my cornstarch out in case I need to thicken it a little bit. Or you could back off on it, not add it all to start with, and then add more if it's too thin. But you like this sauce on this broccoli beef to be a little bit, it's like gravy almost. All right, we'll give this a stir, and then we're gonna add it to this bag over here. First step you wanna do is to cut off all of the big chunks of fat. We'll save this good stuff here. So I got a couple chunks of fat that I want to get rid of, just because those are going to be tough and chewy, and we don't want that. Pretty good. All right, then what you're going to want to do is you want to cut this against the grain. The reason why is because if you cut it with the grain, you're going to have long fibers of meat that could be chewy. But if we're looking at the steak from this direction, and these are the fibers of meat, and we cut those, you're gonna have a shorter little bit, and it'll end up in a more tender bite for you. All right, so I'm just gonna cut this thin here against the grain, not with it. Okay, so back over to our meat and marinade. Just get yourself a big zip top bag if you got one. If not, then you can just leave it in a bowl. But I like to put it in a zip top bag because I can kind of smash it around there. Got our meat in, and all of this meat is cut thin. So try to go about 1/8 of an inch or so on that thickness of those cuts. And we have our marinade here. Again, this is oyster sauce, rice wine vinegar, soy, sesame oil, a little cornstarch, a little sugar. And then we're just going to add that right into our sliced beef. And then we're going to squeeze the air out of this bag here. A shake so that marinade can really kind of do its job there. And we're going to get this back in the fridge, and we're going to leave it there for at least 2 hours. You can do this overnight. And then when I start cooking this up, I'm going to save my soy, my rice vinegar, and my hoisin. I'm going to keep that aside in case I need to add a little extra moisture back into this. All right, so we'll get this in the fridge, we'll let it do its thing, and then we'll come back and get this thing cooked up. See you soon. All right, back with part 2 of beef and broccoli. We're also going to use some fried rice, and that's going to be our lunch. We're doing Chinese takeout today. So I got some veggies over here. We already have our meat marinating from earlier, so we're just going to fabricate some of the veggies that we need for this. And then we'll throw it on the wok and get it going. So we've got our onion. Again, this top part we took off. Slice this in half, leave the root attached because we can use that to hold this whole thing together. I have my scrapple over here. I'm just going to cut these into like julienne strips here. And then I have this one from getting our rice. Oh, this is our scrapple. I don't know what I'm doing. Here is our onion. And then I have garlic and ginger already broken down, and then we've got a couple of carrots here. Just get the peels off of those. And then you're going to want to cut these on a bias because we're going to be stir frying this. And when you cut it on a bias, it gives you more surface area. And they'll cook a little more uniform, and then also it'll look nice as a presentation piece. So what you want to do with these guys is we'll get rid of the dry ends here. And then I don't want a super long cooking time on these, so I'm going to try to cut these pretty thin. So we're going to go at a steep angle here on these. So we have something like that. carrots there. And then our broccoli. Just gonna get these flowerets off here. And then I like to do my broccoli. I like to leave the stems a little bit long. And then that's about a good bite right there. So just no massive chunks because it's hard to pick those up and eat those. So think about like stir fry. Nothing should be larger than what would fit like on a spoon. Kind of the same idea as our soup from earlier. Okay, so now we have our components here. I'm gonna get this cleaned up. We'll swap over to our burner and we'll get this all taken care of. Hey guys, welcome back. This is part 2 of our beef and broccoli Chinese takeout, or maybe part 3, I don't know, I'm getting confused here. But we are done with our fried rice, which maybe you can see here. We're gonna switch over and do our beef and broccoli, and then we're gonna have some lunch. So we're gonna get our camera at a view so you can see what's going on versus staring at what's going on here, and we'll get you all dialed in. Okay, we're reset. We have our wok here and all of our other goodies over there. So the way this is gonna work is we're gonna start with our veggies. We're gonna get those all cooked and softened up, and then we'll take them out, and then we'll add in our meat, and then we'll add the veg back into it. So we're gonna start with a little shot of oil here, about a tablespoon or so. And we're gonna start with our most dense vegetable, which is our carrot, and we're gonna cook these in stages. And the reason why, if I throw everything in at one time, some of our veggies will be nice and tender, and others will be kind of mushy and gross. So we're gonna get our carrots in and just give these a good, I don't know, 30, 45 second head start. And then we'll go with our broccoli, and then our onions, and then garlic. Garlic tends to burn the quickest, so we'll make sure to add that in last so that we don't burn that, okay? Also, I need to add, when I was putting my marinade together, I forgot to put ginger in. So if you're using fresh ginger, you can do the ginger with your garlic, but I didn't have any fresh ginger, so I'm using the powder. I should have put that in with my marinade, but I'm gonna add that in when I put my meat in, okay? So we got our carrots going. Like I said, we're just gonna give these just a little bit of a head start, and then we'll go with our broccoli. And typically what I do with this is I'll get the broccoli in here and get a good saute on it, and then I'll hit it with just a little bit of water, because the water is gonna create steam and help cook these down a bit quicker. So that's my plan. I dropped the carrot. Then we'll get our veggies in a bowl. Right, so we got our veggies there. And we've got our meat. wok. A couple veggies hanging out. Okay, and then we have our meat that we marinated earlier here in our Ziploc bag. And we're going to go right with the marinade and the meat, everything right in the bag. And we'll add our veggies back in. I'm going to turn my heat off because everything is cooked, everything's hot. Just get a little mix here. And then I always check my sauce texture. Because I want this to kind of cling to everything. So I'm going to actually add just a little bit of a cornstarch slurry. If yours is thin like mine, you need to add a little bit to it. You can always do that. Alright, so I've got here cornstarch and just a little bit of water, and we're going to stir this and make a little slurry out of it. You don't want to add just plain cornstarch in, otherwise it'll the outsides of the cornstarch will gelatinize, and you'll have you'll end up with little pockets of powder in here. So add that to some water, stir that in, let it get hot. It should thicken up real quickly like mine just did there. And if you want more, you can add more. If it's thick enough, you can call it good. I'm going to add just a little bit more here. And we're going to go ahead and transfer this over to our plate for service. Turn our heat off. Okay, so we have our beef and broccoli, and we have our fried rice. Huh? Oh, camera is about to fall. So, here we have our beef and broccoli and our fried rice, and our camera guy that's been working so hard for us, and we're all set.